Today, when we think of Rudolph, we picture that glowing red nose on a fuzzy TV screen, or hear Burl Ives crooning in the background. But here's the secret. Before Rudolph was a star off television, before his nose twinkled in Technicolor, he lived on the printed page. And his story wasn't born in Hollywood. It was born in the quiet, snow-dusted aisles of a department store and in the heartbreak of one man's life. End quote. The year was 1939. Chicago's Montgomery Ward department store was at the heart of American Christmas shopping. Imagine crowded elevators, tin soldiers stacked on counters, and the smell of roasted chestnuts on the street. Ward's wanted something new, a holiday promotion that wasn't just about toys or candy. They wanted a storybook to hand out to children, a keepsake families would take home. Enter Robert L. May, a 34-year-old copywriter. May wasn't a famous author. He was, in fact, quiet, shy, and struggling to make ends meet during the tail end of the Great Depression. The holidays that year felt heavy. With war looming in Europe, American families clung to rituals like decorating trees, writing cards, and visiting Santa at department stores. A booklet for children felt like the perfect way to spread cheer. Robert May was asked to create this new holiday giveaway. On paper, it seemed like a cheerful assignment. But May was carrying something heavy. His wife Evelyn was dying of cancer. Their little daughter Barbara was just 4 years old. In those nights sitting at her bedside, May began writing not just a story for Montgomery Ward, but a fable of resilience for his child. He knew Barbara felt different, growing up in a house shadowed by sickness. So he gave her a story of someone else who felt different. A reindeer with a nose that glowed. A nose that at first made him a misfit, teased, and excluded. But in the end, that difference became his gift. It was May's way of whispering to his daughter, "Your pain, your oddness, your difference. It might someday shine." May shaped Rudolph as a small, gentle character with none of the grandeur of Santa's other reindeer. He wasn't Dasher or Blitzen. He was humble, shy, and overlooked. Montgomery Ward's illustrators gave him soft features, more like a storybook faun than Thebold, glowing mascot we know today. The booklet, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, was printed in cheerful red and white ink. In December 1939 alone, Montgomery Ward distributed 2.4 million copies. Think about that. In an era when comic books cost 10 cents and movie tickets a quarter, a free storybook, tucked into the hands of children visiting Santa, became a national sensation. Parents read it aloud by firelight. Children treasured it like a toy. And Rudolph, long before TV, became a household name. Then came World War II. Paper rationing paused large print runs. But the demand for Rudolph didn't vanish. It only grew. By 1946, when wartime restrictions eased, Montgomery Ward printed another 3.6 million copies. By then, Rudolph wasn't just a character. He was a cultural spark. This was also a time when America's idea of Christmas was expanding. The war had ended. Soldiers came home, wanting normalcy and joy. Department stores filled with lights. Families leaned into traditions. And Rudolph, the little reindeer who carried the weight of an author's grief, became part of that healing. Robert May's brother-in-law, Johnny Marks, was a songwriter. He looked at May's little booklet and thought, "This story sings." In 1949, Gene Autry recorded Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, shot to #1 on the charts, and sold over 2 million copies in its first year. By the mid-20th century, the song was nearly as familiar as Silent Night. Rudolph wasn't just a book now. He was on the radio, in record players, and in the living rooms of Americans still stitching together their post-war lives. And then, 1964, Rankin Bass released their now iconic stop-motion TV special. Burl Ives lent this voice. The puppets wobbled charmingly across snowy sets. And an entire generation grew up watching Rudolph, not once, but year after year in reruns. But here's the thing. By the time he hit television, Rudolph was already 25 years old. The story had traveled through grief, war, booklets, and songs before it ever became moving images. End quote. So when we see Rudolph glowing on screen or hanging as a sticker in a scrapbook, it's worth remembering he wasn't born in Hollywood. He was born in a department store promotion, in a time of depression and grief. He was born from a father's love for his daughter, and his need to remind her that the things that make us different might just make us shine the brightest. End quote. Pause. Soft music fades. End quote. Rudolph's first glow wasn't on TV. It was in the heart of a little girl who needed hope. And maybe that's why, all these years later, we still can't let go of him. End quote. Rudolph wasn't born in Hollywood. He was born in grief and glitter.